It is the Jeff Santos Show that you are tuned into, coming to you live from the South Coast here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We're going to be talking momentarily with Mark Taylor-Canfield, and for our producer Kevin sent you a link for him as well. Folks, we've had an opportunity today to talk with a lot of people in the world of politics and later in sports. And sometimes they combine, and that's one of the great things that we try to do, particularly on Fridays here on the program, to give you some music. We did the Springsteen stuff, and we're going to try to do more into the new year. The other part of it, of course, is that sports, is I think it pretty much brings together people from all walks of life. I mean, you were mentioning about the Dodgers. Dodgers have players from the Dominican Republic, from Japan, from Korea, from, of course, United States, Puerto Rico. We can go on and on and on. And, it's a melting pot. It's what America is all about. So when we get, the Trumpies of the world, that, everything's going to be red, white, and blue, and we disrespect our friends in Canada, as we talked about with Kevin Paul DuPont. And, this is sad. And that's why, as I was talking with Jim Roosevelt, of course, grandson of the great FDR, is that we need to, both as Democrats and citizens, understand the responsibility that Donald Trump is, a one individual that has, yes, a following, but he does not represent everything in America. Far from it. The majority of people in this country don't vote. So therefore, a majority of people in this country had nothing to do with Donald Trump. And as a good 49%, now it's probably closer to 60 or 65%, according to the polls. His approval rating is 35%. You know what? No part of Mr. Trump. So whether you voted for him and you stayed home, or whether you voted against him, that's the majority of people in the United States. So, as much as we look at this, Donald Trump is one player on a team, the United States as a country, and does not represent to the rest of the world. Unfortunately, in this past year, because it's only been back less than a year, it'll be a year next month in January. It's sick how much damage he's done. But to me, that is what we got to look at here. And sometimes intersecting sports and team, no I in team, of course, Donald Trump doesn't view that because it's all about him. There's no team. Team Trump is Donald Trump. He obviously hires people to help get him elected and so forth. But that has nothing to do with, the substance of the movement, quote unquote, if you want to call it that. So anyways, that is, to me, my perspective. We'll try to see if we can get our good friend Mark Taylor-Canfield on the program before, the top of the hour. And Kevin, just FYI, if we can't, let's move on to the replay of a good friend, Mel Poindexter from yesterday, who was also, of course, in Los Angeles as a backup. Hopefully we can get MTC with us coming forward. A couple of other things, folks, for next week. We look to have a conversation with Congressman Jim McGovern, and that's something that I think is going to be very important, as he has led on a number of different issues, including the war issue on Medicare for all. He has taken a more progressive approach, and is also involved in a way in bringing together progressives and moderates. And that, to me, is going to be a key part, as you and I have talked about, as Mel and Jim Roosevelt have talked about, Mel Poindexter. And that, to me, is a big piece of the puzzle. We are trying to get a hold of, and I'm going to be sending you a new number, Kevin, to reach Mr. Canfield momentarily. So I really feel there is an opportunity here, and one in which there is a major, major time for people to understand what's at stake, to get your friends to come out to vote, to get involved in politics. It's not a spectator sport. Where baseball and football and basketball and hockey are. That's the difference, and that's the distinctions that are there. So, Kevin, if you can take that, number and give our good friend MTC a call, we can maybe make this thing happen in the next couple of minutes. So, I will say this. I think the excitement in LA is real. And what you heard from the delegate from Sonoma County, that Martin is looking at outside the Beltway, as Gary South said yesterday, the consultant who was the former senior aide to Gray Davis, we're looking for the outsider. And that really points, to someone like Gavin Newsom. And I think that is why a lot of people are very excited about the California governor. And, you didn't get any confirmation, but there is this idea that potentially you could have the convention in California. Wouldn't that be interesting? Well, I know our next guest would like that because he's on the West Coast. He's in Seattle. He's MTC, and he joins us on the phone today because of yours truly. And we welcome Mark Taylor-Canfield. Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, I have a new song that I haven't released yet, but it's about Seattle. It goes, up on the hill, they got lots to do now. Funky muscle man, I love their face. And if you do it, you might lose your shoes. Just when the sun goes down, it's a freaky little town. So, we're gonna find a very own show.
Well, Mark, we've had some technical difficulties with that song, but next time we get you on, we're going to have to play that live and video and so forth. Appreciate it, my friend. Look, the music scene in Seattle is rocking and rolling. You're a big part of that. Do you sense that, we're just talking about baseball and minor league baseball and the betting scandals and all that. Do you think that the local music, we've been having the cover bands on, we did the Bruce Springsteen thing, we're looking for more. Do you feel that there is a resurgence, not only for classic rock, but for the cover bands, to have a chance to, I know your band is out there too, to make a few shillings, not to make millions of dollars, but is that something that, you think we are, kind of having a resurgence of, the garage band that, can play at the local, at the local music venue?
Well, that's always been true in Seattle. I mean, the house parties here are infamous or famous, depending on how you look at it. And the same in outlying areas like in Olympia, Washington, where they're under 6 feet of water right now. My old stomping grounds are flooded in Centralia and Olympia. But the house parties, even here in Seattle, have been great. My friends had this place called Martha's Vineyard that I talked to you about. No, it's not on Cape Cod. It's here in Seattle. It's a house which is formerly owned by a woman named Martha. And they've done some great shows. There's a lot of great shows in the parks. There are high school kids who put on music festivals in the parks here. And a lot of it is just kind of word of mouth and, no advertising at all. You just kind of have to know that they're happening. So, yeah, I think people here really love our local bands, and everybody's in a band, ever since I moved to Seattle. My dog's in a band, my grandma's in a band, everybody's in a band, and it's great. But I wanted to tell you that I just auditioned for NBC's The Voice yesterday. So I'll let you know what the results are from that when I hear back from the producers. But that's where Queen's lead singer came from after they lost Freddie Mercury, right? Adam Lambert. He was the guy from The Voice. And also, I wanted to tell people, hello to everybody in Los Angeles at KCAA, New York City and New Jersey on WGHT, and in Boston on WCAP. You are a bunch of very smart people listening to one of the best in the business. So good choice. I am not just a guest and a friend of your show. I am actually a fan. So just so you know,
Well, I
I've been listening all day,
appreciate
and
that,
you've
my
had
man.
great guests. It was great hearing Jim Roosevelt. Amazing people that you're never going to hear anywhere else. So smart people out there listening to you, Jeff, and
Well,
and congrats to you for spreading the message. It's a good thing for the country for sure.
well, no, I appreciate that, my friend, and I'll send you the money in the envelope tomorrow. No, I really appreciate it. It's great to be doing what you love, and I know that you feel the same way in what you do when you write and when you write music as well, and that's it's something that's hard to replicate in any other job. You know that when you're an artist or somebody in that wide field called art or communication, however you want to deem it and bucket it. But I think it's important, and we're in an important time in the country. I mean, it's not just about a theory of defeating Republicans. If you don't, you lose the democracy. It's that simple. And people need to realize that. I think they are. I think the poll numbers show that Trump at 35%. And it's so important that we have independent stations like KCAA and WCAP and our friends in New York, New Jersey at AM 1500, WGHT, that give us an opportunity to talk to people around the country and online, of course, at TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. So these are important. I hope that there are more social media platforms that come out, to compete in on those fronts as well. It's another story today, with so much of ownership by one or two companies, around the media world, and that's something that's another day to talk about. But we're very grateful here on the Jeff Santos Show. Mark, talk to me a little bit about what you think is happening with your new mayor, because a lot of people are obviously talking about Mamdani in New York City, but you have your own Democratic Socialist, your own progressive mayor. What's she up to? I mean, does she take office before the 1st of January, or is that later on in January?
Yes, it will be in January, but she is a firebrand, but of a different style than Mamdani. Mamdani is well, I'll just repeat what Katie told me is that, I don't dress as well and I'm not as charismatic. She's a little bit more of a serious persona when you talk to her, when she's talking politics. She's also probably a little bit more shy in terms of the spotlight. I've noticed that she's not necessarily all that comfortable with all the cameras around her. But I think that she's set a precedent here for an outspoken, individualistic, iconoclastic mayor, and that's what we need. I mean, we had Bertha Knight Landis back in the day. She was our first uh, big firebrand, who progressive who tried to change the city. She took over or was actually sitting in for a mayor who was on the East Coast at the time during a very corrupt time in Seattle's government and police department. So I think Katie is an example of what young people have been saying for a long time. Is that number one, they're getting really tired of a bunch of old white guys running everything, or in the case of Bruce Harrell, uh, who was Japanese American and African American, but he also was kind of catering to a lot of the definitely to the police department here and to a lot of the more conservative business interests. But Katie is basically she's frightening the corporate media. They're all afraid of her. They think that Seattle is going to go bankrupt and all the major corporations are going to leave town and we're going to become some kind of socialist desert or something. But I doubt that's going to happen. Every time, when Shama Sawant was elected to the city council, she's now running for Congress against a Democrat, against Adam Smith. But when she was on the city council, we heard the same outcry against her and this scary thing called democratic socialism. In truth, the
Very
majority of
true.
people that I talk to in Seattle support Katie. They know her because she's been a integral part of the community in many ways. and always on the scene trying to help people. She has a good reputation with the people that I know, and nobody is afraid of her. What people are afraid of are, these neoliberal policies where the major corporate entities get all the breaks, and then the rest of us, suffer with inadequate infrastructure and public services. So, like Mom Donnie, she would like to see more corporate taxes. She would like to see some more of the money of the billions and billions that's being made in Seattle actually stay here in the city and help people who live here. And she definitely wants to do something to help house people, because homelessness has been a big issue in Seattle for a long time, just like other cities around major cities around the country. One thing that she's going to have on her plate that's we've been talking about in the last couple of days. In fact, I just talked to an epidemiologist about this last night at the Art Walk events. But we're going to have 750,000 people in Seattle during the World Cup, and that's almost, people don't realize this, but the city limits of Seattle, within the city limits of Seattle, there's only about 800,000 people who actually live here. So that's almost going to double our population for
Right.
basically 1 month. And we're not sure that our infrastructure can even handle that. I mean, we already have really terrible traffic problems downtown, so obviously no one's going to be able to get around. All of the hotels and B&Bs are going to be full. People are going to be standing in line trying to get a seat at a restaurant or a bar. So I don't know. I guess, we'll all have to rent out our extra rooms or something to accommodate all these people. But she's going to have her hands full with that as well. But I have a lot of confidence in her. I think, she's got a really good grassroots movement behind her of people who will show up at City Hall and will go to the city council meetings again. Unfortunately, since Shama Sawant retired to start Workers Strike Back, that labor organization, and now her run for Congress, since then, the city council has been trying to overturn almost everything that she accomplished, which is really sad. But that's just what we had. We had a city council that really was controlled by a lot of local business interests and didn't like rent control and all these other issues. So there's been a pushback against that. Hopefully, Katie can help push the progressive agenda back forward again, instead of receding and going, watching it go over the horizon. I hope that she can bring it out to the forefront again. And just knowing her personally, I think that she's going to do a good job. She's a very serious-minded person. She's not in it, to be famous or gain a lot of power or economic wealth. She's just not that kind of person. One of the jokes that was going around is that right after she was elected, she posted on social media that, "Oh, just wanted to announce that I may be able to actually move out of my parents' home now after I have received a promotion by the people of Seattle. So we'll hope that can happen." So, she rides mass
Yeah.
transit with everybody else. She's a very working class kind of person. And I think that's really refreshing to see in a city where we do, we're not big on the glam thing here, the bling thing. So it's nice to see a more working class style mayor in the city hall. I think people will have more trust in her because of that. But as I said, the business interests are already, trying to pan her as somebody who's an idealist who will never be able to accomplish the things she wants to do. But that's what conservatives always tell us progressive idealists, is that, oh, universal health care, we'll never be able to do that. Meanwhile, how many trillions are we spending on, defense? So I think
Right.
it's just
Right.
a matter of
And
a
how many
priority.
other countries
Seattle's
are doing actually what we can't do. We're talking with Mark Taylor-Canfield here on the Jeff Santos Show. Mark, I want to get your thoughts as a musician that the sycophant at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue went after the great artist Jack White, and so he's all washed up. He doesn't even know who Jack White is. Never knew of his talent, and this is great because he's listing White is all his wrongdoings. It's a long, substantial list. And of course, he did the same thing to Jimmy Kimmel. The ratings are poor. He's no good. And of course, Kimmel was skyrocketing at the time. And this is what he does. But I was great to see that. And kudos to Jack White. And we always talk about musicians, standing up to fascism, which unfortunately is the government in the United States in 2025 here. You give me your thoughts as a fellow musician about that.
Well, I love Jack White. He's one of my heroes. I love the fact that he is included in his music so many different styles of rock that he's listened to throughout his life. He's a very eclectic kind of guy like me. I'm the same way. And also I like the fact that his music is kind of stripped down. We're in the city of the grunge movement where, we're not trying to make the music pretty. We're just trying to rock and roll. So I appreciate what he did with the White Stripes and what he's done as a solo artist. The Showbox Theater here actually gave me a free ticket to see him because of my work to try to save that iconic historic establishment. And it was amazing seeing him. Seattle has some great music venues where you can just walk right up to the stage and get really close to your favorite musician. And, I'm watching how he's playing the guitar, what guitar he's using, what amp is he using, what chords is he playing, just learning from him, like I'm going to school. And I appreciate the fact that he is willing to speak out publicly because not, as we mentioned last week, not every musician or actor or member of the entertainment industry is willing to do that. But he is, and I love it because he said incredible things that nobody else wants to say, or we're all thinking, but we're just not saying. And one of the things he said, and I'll go into the irony of Trump calling him washed up in a second, but he said on his social media, he said, I was raised to believe that we defeated fascism in World War II and that we would never allow it again in the world. I don't always state publicly my political opinions, and like anyone, I don't always know all the facts. But when it comes to this man and this administration, I'm not going to be like one of the silent minority in the 1930s Germany. This man is a danger to not just America, but the entire world, and that's not an exaggeration. He's dismantling democracy and endangering the planet on a daily basis, and we all know it. To announce that there must be no criticism of the president or that we are to stand by the president, right or wrong, is not only unpatriotic and servile, but is morally treasonable to the American public. And that is a quote from
Love it.
who? Theodore Roosevelt. Yeah,
There you go.
that's what
There you
Theodore
go.
Roosevelt said about criticizing the president. So, Jack, I love you. I want to meet with you and hang out. I want to buy you a beer in Seattle and celebrate the fact that you're willing to speak out like that. And meanwhile, he's on national television, and millions of people are watching him during halftime with Eminem, our homeboy here from Seattle, performing on Thanksgiving at the Lions Packers game. The America's game, and people are loving it. And then, and so I think Mr. Trump, this idea that Jack White or Jimmy Kimmel, because he said, like you said, he said the same thing about him. This idea
Yeah.
that Jack White is somehow washed up and it has been. Well, apparently, you don't know what you're talking about once again,
Look in the
which
mirror. Look
seems
in
to
the
be a
mirror, Mr.
constant
President.
situation. Yeah, no, Jack White is very popular. People love him. He's he's going to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You can bet your bitty on that. And those of us who are musicians know that he's speaking the truth, and we all appreciate that because not all musicians have either the social media presence to do that, to get the message out. Because he did this on Instagram, on Facebook, all over the place. But also the fact that he is willing to speak out and call the administration what it is. He just basically said that Trump is a fascist, and
Well, it's
uh,
true. I mean, to look
the
around. I mean, look how he ties with ICE and everything else. Mark, it's just sad where we are. But 35% approval rating shows that American people are ready to rock and roll. They want something
yes,
else, and people in Los Angeles today at the Democrats' winter meeting, they're psyched, ready to rock and roll too. So I think it's all points forward. The North Star is win the House and the Senate, and once and for all, remove Donnie from the White House legally, non-violently, and I think that's a game plan that can be achieved. We just got to keep on working. I used the line from the Beastie Boys: "No sleep till Brooklyn." Well, no sleep until we win in November, both the House and Senate. So that's the mantra, my friend. To look into music and how that has permeated our culture. Appreciate you, man. We got to rock and roll here, but look forward to our discussion next week when we're hopefully back on video.
yes. Get over your cold or whatever it is, Jeff. Have a great weekend and keep rocking. I've really enjoyed listening to your program today and your guests. So Keep up the good work. It makes me a much smarter person as a journalist and as a citizen of this country when I listen to your program. So thank you for all that.
You get the straight A's in my book. No, thank you, man. Thank you. You get the straight A's all the time. He's the Renaissance man. That's Mark Taylor-Canfield. Thank you, Mark. I want to thank Kevin for producing this broadcast with all of the stuff going on today. Thanks to Robin and Rocky, and of course our great A-team. Folks, have yourself a good weekend. I'm going back to the orange juice and soup. Look forward to being back on video on Monday. Fingers crossed. Until then, my name is Jeff Santos. Keep on fighting peacefully until Monday. My time to say I gotta go.